journey begin.
That was one whole year of training calisthenics and weights consistently. And during this time, I was all in. I was fully focused on fitness. I'm talking, I would read about fitness, I would think about fitness, I would watch videos on fitness, I would only consume fitness. That is it. That is what my life revolved around. All of my energy and all of my attention, both were going towards fitness only. The only exception was my family and school. However, from that point up till now, I didn't make a lot of gains. Barely any gains. The only gains I didn't make were ones that would come as a result of still training and staying in the game for years on end. There were no insane improvements, no insane gains, no insane aesthetics, nothing like that. And the whole reason was because of three main mistakes that I made during this period of time. The first one being a lack of focus. As ashamed as I am to admit it, I've been training for the past 5 years. Now, to be very honest with you, I've been working out for the past 5 years, but I've only been training for about 1.5 to 2 years. And the only reason I say this is because I've messed up for about 2 to 2.5 years. Like I mentioned before, I was fully dialed in for the first 1.5 years of my training. Everything inside of me was just consumed by fitness. That was the only thing I cared about besides school and my family. Obviously, I was going to make insane gains, and that's exactly what happened. I made pretty good gains, I'd say, in my first 1.5 years, alhamdulillah. But that train stopped in about summer of 2022, because that's when I discovered someone who made SMMA what it is now. Iman Gaji. As someone who was a student, who was broke, and who had nothing to do, I was so fascinated by the idea that you could make $10,000 a month just running ads for someone working 2 to 4 hours a day from the comfort of your own home. I was like, dude, this is sick. I need to do this, right? And me, I'm a very obsessive person. That means I'm either all in or I don't even try. I always play on extremes. That's how I am in every single aspect of life. And so because of having this trait, this characteristic, every single bit of information that I was consuming about fitness was replaced with SMMA. And that became my sole focus. I started to put training and working out on the back burner. I went from training multiple times a week to training only 2 to 3 times a week to training once a week to training not even that much. I took 20 days off once. 20 days off. That is unheard of for me. As someone who views themselves as, oh yeah, I'm the guy who works out. Taking 20 days off was insane. But that happened. Because like I said, I'm a very extreme person. I either go all in or I don't go. That's who I am. And so that basically continued for about the next 2 years. Yes, the next 2 years. For the next 2 years, I was stuck in the make money online thing. That was the only thing I was focused on. And it was in summer 2024 that I had the realization when I looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, holy crap, I look like... That's when I had such a crushing realization. I was like, I've been in the exact same spot when it comes to my physique, when it comes to my strength, both, for the past 2 years. The exact same spot. I was doing 12 pull-ups 2 years ago, I'm still doing 12 pull-ups now. In fact, I was doing 10. It hit me so hard, I was like, this is the one thing I worked so hard for. This is the one thing I grinded so hard for. And to see it vanish away in front of my very eyes, and me not doing anything about it, me not taking ownership of it, that hurt me to my core. It hurt me so bad. I was like, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. Enough is enough. I was like, if there's one thing I'm going to take seriously, it's going to be my physique. It's going to be my physique. I'm going to build my dream physique no matter what. And so I started training again. I started to train hard. I was doing upper, lower 4 times a week. I was training super hard. I was eating a ton and I was sleeping enough. Basically, I went back to my roots. I was fully locked in, fully focused. That was the only thing that consumed me, right? Until I tore my rotator cuff. I dislocated my shoulder, partially dislocated my shoulder, and I tore my rotator cuff. Because of that, I had to spend a year in rehab. So I couldn't train. I couldn't train at all the way I wanted to. And hence I look like this right now. I started rehab in September of 2024. It's about November 4th as I'm recording this, and I am only now starting to get back into training again properly. So it's been a long journey. The point is, this lack of focus made me go from someone who was making gains to making slower gains to making no gains. I started to slowly taper off in my training frequency, training volume, training intensity, and as a result, I wasted about 2.5 years. I had no goal when it comes to working out. I was working out just because I'm supposed to work out. That's who I am, right? It's a part of my identity. And so I was just doing it for fun, just going in, randomly hitting workouts, and there was no structure behind it. And there's a clear difference between doing something with purpose and doing something for fun. When you do something for fun, you might get results here and there. But when you do something with purpose behind it, that's when you make good results. That's when you make insane results, because there's a reason behind every single action. There's structure behind every single action. It's not random, right? If I were training for fun, bro, I'd go and do whatever I want to at that point in time. Right? Throw me in a gym. It's like I'm in heaven. There's every single machine there. I can do whatever I want, right? That would be if I'm training for fun. But if I'm training with structure, even a small home gym will do because everything has purpose behind it. And that is the exact thing I was missing. That was a bar. Now, this first mistake of having a lack of focus is what led to the next two mistakes. And the second one being a lack of proper nutrition. The truth is I did not eat well whatsoever in these 2 years. Not at all. And by the way, that doesn't mean I was eating processed food, junk food. I wasn't eating any of those. It was like a 90-10 split. 90% was clean food, 10% was the processed food. Because I was so focused on making money online, I would eat spontaneously. I would do intermittent fasting because it was good for productivity. And I was eating about 1 to 2 decently sized meals per day. No wonder I didn't make any gains whatsoever. I was eating to survive, not eating to fuel my body and fuel my workout. There was no idea behind my diet. It wasn't like I'm eating to gain weight, I'm eating to lose weight. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just eating to survive, right? There was no structure behind it. And guess where that arose from? A lack of focus. Like, think about this. I wasn't focused on my training. I wasn't focused on my fitness. So of course I was not going to be focused on my diet as well. When one pillar is missing, then other pillars are going to be missing as well. And I remember it got so bad that I think in the earlier parts of 2024, I lost 6 kilograms in 6 weeks. Yes. About 14-ish pounds in 6 weeks. Just because I wasn't eating enough. And I wasn't even training at that point in time, so it's safe to say I lost a bunch of mass as well. Now the last and final mistake, which caused me so much of the suffering I went through when it comes to not making gains, was program hopping. I swear to God, if I had my younger self in front of me right here, I would slap the crap out of him, bro. I'd be like, you freaking stupid, what did you do, bro? The thing is, when I was trying to build my agency, right, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna experiment with my workouts. I'm gonna find out what works for me when I was still a novice, by the way. When you're a novice, that means you make gains doing whatever. You make gains doing calisthenics, doing weights, doing freaking CrossFit, whatever it may be. You make gains doing whatever. And you make gains workout to workout to workout. That means your strength goes up workout to workout to workout. And I was a novice. And so it doesn't make sense me trying to see which thing works for my body because everything works for my body. Like, I don't have much muscle and I'm weak. So of course everything is going to work for me. But I was trying to find something that worked for me. I was trying to experiment. No wonder I didn't make any gains. And during this experimentation phase, I would change my workouts pretty much every 3 to 4 weeks. I'm talking going from upper lower to push pull legs to, I never did a bro split, but full body, push pull legs, upper lower, like a bunch of different splits. I would change my splits every 3 to 4 weeks, and that is a recipe for disaster. I wouldn't be able to progressively overload on one single movement because I would be changing that movement every 3 to 4 weeks. And when you do a new movement, the first 3 to 4 weeks are just you adapting to it. And so those gains that you make in the first 3 to 4 weeks of a new movement aren't even muscle gains. By the way, if you don't know what progressive overload means, it's very simple. You push your body a bit more than you did last workout. So every single workout, you're pushing your body a tad bit more than you did last time. And that can be in multiple forms. You could increase the weight, increase the reps. You could increase the tempo. That means the amount of time it takes you to complete the exercise. You could decrease your rest time between sets. You can increase the sets. You can improve your form. There's a bunch of different ways to do this, right? It's endless. But that is basically what it entails. And the thing is, I wasn't doing much of that. In fact, I was doing none of that because I was changing my workouts every single month, basically. And ultimately, that led to me looking the same year after year after year, which is painful to admit. And I swear to God, I want to freaking slap the crap out of my younger self. But it is what it is. I swear, if I stuck to one single program for these 2 years, I would be looking so much better now. I would be insanely jacked. Like, look, right? You don't even see my biceps right now. Why? Because I didn't stick to one single program. So therefore, just pick one thing and stick to it for as long as possible. And if you do want to switch, spend at least a minimum of 3 months doing the same thing. Minimum, ideally even longer, but a minimum of 3 months. So yeah, those 3 crucial mistakes are what caused me to be in the same spot for 2 years and not really make any gains. That's exactly why I look the same as you can see in the thumbnail. I hope that if you're starting your lifting journey, if you're in the middle of it, if you might even be making some of these mistakes, you kind of reconsider your choices. Before I just end this video, what am I doing right now? Well, as I mentioned before, I tore my rotator cuff. It's been about a bit more than a year since I've been in rehab. What happened was that it took me 8 months to get back on track, right? So I was overhead pressing about 37 kilograms. I pushed too hard and then I had a flare-up which set me back about 7 weeks, about give or take 2 months. So it took me 2 months longer to get back on track where I could start training hard. Then I started to train hard and then I pushed myself a bit too much and then I had a flare-up again. And this flare-up was recent, by the way. It happened like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So now I'm basically in the process of recovering from that flare-up and getting back to normal training. And this time I've gone back to my roots. I'm talking calisthenics, basic weights, basic exercises, nothing fancy, nothing to like, oh my God, it's that new Instagram exercise, nothing like that. Just the pure raw basics that have worked for years and years and decades on it. So inshallah, as soon as I can get back to normal training, I am getting back to normal training and I'm going to be making crazy gains, inshallah, God willing. And I'm going to be documenting that whole journey here on YouTube of me making gains physically, of course, and mentally, of course, because lifting is also a mental game, not just a physical game. And I feel like the mental aspect is very much overlooked. So That's what I want to document as well. My fitness journey and my mindset journey, I guess, my personal development journey. So that's what this channel is for. If that sounds interesting to you, consider subscribing, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.